I was shown an article on the Twitters today. It was very, very dumb. But articles are a pain in the ass, and I had decided I wasn't going to do them any. Your conditioning has been conditioned. Why sexual preference is political.
It is necessary, life-saving even, to have an open and honest dialogue about how we are marginalising ourselves, even in our own bedrooms. Though not straightforward, there is a connection between who we think is desirable and whose life has value within a white supremacist country like the United States. This question of value came to a head in the candidacy and unfortunate election of Donald Trump.
We didn't get what we want. I don't understand how this could have happened. We did all the right things. We called everyone racists, bigots and homophobes. Grow the fuck up. Trump won. Banging on about the fact that you don't like it in everything you buggers make. It makes you sound like fucking children.
What?
It's more so like a rallying cry of the left. So Trump got elected. So we've got some fucking work to do. You've got to inform all your elected officials that are in any way on your side to obstruct anything that would harm marginalized groups. Pay more attention to certain social ills, such as the topic of this article and your video, colorism. And yeah, I don't really get it. Oh, and I'm Mabasei, by the way. And you're stupid.
What has become even truer now is that the status quo is in real danger of getting worse. Because of that, it is critical that we as a society, particularly as black people who are often relegated to the bottom, begin to look at the ways we disconnect from one another. We should prioritize sticking together as a community across race, class, sexual, gender and gender identity and expression lines, even if those lines are occasionally blurred.
Martin Luther King must be doing backflips in his fucking grave. For Christ's sake, are you kidding me? You are literally advocating for segregation. His dream of young black kids and white kids playing together, having a unified planet where no one cares what you look like. You're just going to piss all over that because collectivism. It's astounding that your type genuinely believes they are non-racists and against racism when you have the same fucking opinions as white nationalists. Your type ought to stick to your own. You are correct, sir. Can't be mixing races. That'd be against our good Lord Feministro.
And ladies and gents, first stereotypical used by some random straight white guy talking about something involving black people, race relations. Our name dropping of Martin Luther fucking King. Okay, let's get straight into that about his dream. His dream was about seeing a day where little black boys and little black girls could drink from the river of prosperity, where they wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Now, let's let that sink in. His speech, if we look into the actual context, which I'm going to put links in the description here, you will actually see that all this stuff is prefaced. These people who he's saying who deserve this treatment, who are not getting this treatment, are black people. Just his way of speaking, the way that the speech was written, it appeals to more people. So it appealed to you, which is why you cited it. Which is fine. But, I really wish you people would really, really, really stop, using him for your own purposes. It's so annoying. And on top of that, it makes no sense. You appeal to him and then get mad at them more collectivism. So what? Are they supposed to fucking agree with King because he's black and they're black? But that hypocrisy though. But on the cogent point is the whole sticking together point is about that people seeing a rise in certain attitudes, whether it be in real life or online. We're seeing more and more videos of people coming out and just flat out hurling the N-word and fucking cursing at fucking Hispanic people and all this other shit, saying that yelling at random minorities about them being on welfare and all that stuff. So like whether we're even looking at hate crimes, which some are obviously just been proven just to be false, or ones that are real, etc. Yeah, we see a rise in a certain attitude, a certain behavior. So this is going to inspire people to say like, shit, we need to fucking pull together here. Like these people, they are not playing with us. They hate us. They want to fight us. They want to call us nigger. They want to tell little 4-year-old boys, 8-year-old boys, not 4, to go back to the cotton fields. And then when he protests, they want to beat him and slam him onto the ground to the point where he has a fucking concussion with lasting side effects that are at this point, indefinite. Like that's what this is an awaken. See, the context is key here. This is not some fucking utopian, racially harmonious society we live in. It's just not. At the end of the day, this rallying call for black people to stick together is not really that out of place.
It is necessary, life-saving even, to have an open and honest dialogue about how we are marginalizing ourselves, even in our own bedroom.
It really is the jabbering of a mental patient. I honestly couldn't imagine spewing forth countless buzzwords and thoughtless rhetoric without thinking, what the fuck am I saying? I guess that's why I'm not one of these crazies.
Consider these 2 questions. Do you ever think about what informs your physical attraction to another person? Or do you simply believe it to be a preference, and thus requiring no further examination beyond you like what you like? If you are like many people I have communicated with about this topic lately, chances are you fall into the latter category.
Actually, I doubt anybody really just thinks they like what they like. In fact, a lot of people I know develop their preferences from previous relationships. That one someone in their early romantic lives who changed everything for them, perhaps opened their eyes. A few of my exes have gone out with guys who looked creepily like me. And I have a thing for short brunettes. Now, it doesn't mean I can't appreciate women with all sorts of different looks and body types, but I also didn't get them from the dominant culture, because that's just fucking absurd.
And we got another one here. The classic throwing cultural influences out of the window, or talking about cultural influences as if blacks and whites, especially, I would say in America, occupy the exact same social strata, and they're influenced by society's norms and media messages, etc., in all the same ways, which just is not true. If that were true, and people were not influenced by their environment, by culture, etc., then there would be no hope in no way to rehabilitate criminals, or a surefire way to make sure that you won't go back to doing drugs is to drop all of your fucking drug addict friends. So if who and what you're around just doesn't affect you on an interpersonal level like that, if it doesn't change your behavior and your beliefs and the things that you're attracted to, is not affected by the culture that you're immersed in, then we shouldn't see those things. But we do. Most people who become career criminals usually have other acquaintances or friends who are also career criminals. Drug addicts tend to somewhat run in packs. And even if we're not go like that heavy of a drug, we say like potheads, we run in packs usually. Like I smoke weed, and so does my brother, so does some other people that I hang out with, etc. So it shouldn't be that far-fetched to think that at some point people are getting what they're attracted to from culture, especially since we see that what the standard of what is attractive can vary so much given a simple locale change. It makes no sense to say that. No, maybe you don't think that you were influenced, and maybe you were, maybe you weren't. I can't say. But to say that black people just aren't just seems really silly, because they weren't running around chasing, women who look like the chick in your thumbnail, or, from this article. Back in fucking West Africa, they had a different standard. They were attracted to something different, someone much browner. I'm not even gonna try and really understand here. I think you're just dumb. I think I'm gonna be saying this a lot throughout this video. Like maybe on some of your other videos, you might be on point. One on this whole colorism thing and black people's relationship to the beauty of the standard of beauty in America and the West in general. You're just dumb. You're out of your depth.
Is he cute, or is he just light-skinned? Is a legitimate question many black people have grappled with at one point in their lives.
Only the fucking racists, mate.
The fuck was that stupid shit? So you went around and in the first video are moralizing towards people and saying that they made bad political moves by calling people racist unfoundedly and generalizing and whatever. So that's stupid. So every black person, including myself, though I am light skinned, right? Who has taken the time and really thought about, did I marry this woman that I'm married to because she is not light skinned? Did I marry her because her nose is smaller, more narrow, as opposed to a more stereotypically like African nose, like a more broader nose? Like did these things play a factor? Like did the looseness of her curl, of the texture of her hair, the looseness of her curl pattern, did that influence me to make me attracted to her, which ultimately ended up in me loving her? Did that influence me? That means that me and everyone else who's ever had that thought are all racist. That's fucking stupid, and it's the same exact thing of saying like certain SJW talking points or whatever. Like if you said this thing, you must, you're just a racist or whatever. That's stupid. You're stupid. I keep saying this. I don't know why you're stupid. That's just essentially what's being said and what's happening here. That's not a substantiated claim. That's stupid. It's also anti-intellectual as well. How in the fuck are you supposed to be a part of the rationals or whatever over there? And you're discouraging deep introspection, right? You're discouraging the questioning of something that is core to you as a person, such as sexual preferences or whatever. That's fucking pathetic. Like you're discouraging it, and not even discouraging it by just not really laying out much of reasoning. It's racist. So stop thinking like that. Fuck you, thought policing dickwad. Think what the fuck I want, and I ain't fucking racist for it. I'm honest.
This is not because we naturally see dark-skinned people as inherently unattractive, but rather because colorism informs our own standards of beauty, and because of that, we as a society tend to view people with darker complexions as less desirable.
Society means nothing when it comes to personal preference. For fuck's sake, some people love massively obese people, some like dwarfs or amputees, or all kinds of shit that quote-unquote society would consider weird or undesirable. Nobody likes things because that's what everybody else like. People like what they like, and some likes are simply more common than others. Perhaps because those features at least subconsciously display that we're looking at some suitable mate with desirable traits for our offspring. But even with that said, people still like other things, because shockingly, we're all different, and thank fuck for that.
So is having lighter skin somehow making you a more desirable mate? In what world does that make any sense when we're talking about black people here? You do realize that we're from a fucking climate that if I dropped you in the middle of it, you'd probably be dead within about 2 hours if you didn't have the proper medically prescribed sunscreen. And actually, so would I. So in what world does your biological reductionism make sense in the context of this conversation? And how is light skin versus dark skin have anything to do with amputees or any of that shit? And society means everything in terms of everything for humans. In the human animal, culture is king. Culture makes people mutilate their own genitalia. Culture makes people tear their own hair out in weird ass rituals of, coming of age. Culture makes us value this, these back and forth little videos that we put up on the internet. Culture makes people put value in writing this article. Culture, that's all society. Almost everything that you hold near and dear was imparted by you due to the fact of the type of society that you live in. And then even farther still, the subculture of that society which you live in. In the black subculture, light skin is looked at as right skin. And that is wrong and incredibly dumb, given that the darker ones are the majority of us.
And although the black community has consistently striven to recognize that our black is beautiful, desirability politics plays a real role in whom we have sex with, whom we date, and who we decide is worthy of our time and attention.
Oh, for fuck's sake, it must be so awful having such a broken brain. You can't just like what you like when it literally hurts no one. No, it has to be political or some such nonsense. I would pity the cunts if it wasn't for the articles defending their insanity.
You just don't actually get the issue because you're put simply not a black American. Colorism is a thing. In the UK, there are some talks of it amongst blacks there as well. But in America, it's an issue that's been around in black activist circles for quite some time. Hell, that concept of lighter skinned people being favored over dark skinned people for us black Americans has been a thing, like a constant, a topic of discussion and debate. Longer than either of us have been alive. Probably older than even probably your grandfather. Actually, like this has been like a thing that's been going on and talked about, like since we got out of shackles. Really, like it's silly. Like you're obviously out of your depth. You have no context for this. Like you never lived in this culture amongst these people and see how skin tone can dictate true harm, right? So like you, for example, what I will notice coming up in my rougher neighborhood, that especially in school or whatever, like people would sometimes roughhouse or whatever. And one thing that you will notice is that darker skinned girls were treated as a lot of times as if they were boys. So people would be less lenient when it came to if that girl wanted to wrestle or was play fighting, or say if she snapped at someone. Most people would not like just go like, whatever. Like a lot of people, it would almost seem as if they would jump at the chance to, curse that girl right back out, right? Like they'd be very willing to tease these people, to bully these people. So no, for us, these preferences, these ideas are in fact toxic to our community. They hurt people. They have hurt people. You can literally look up on YouTube people literally recounting their incredibly negative experiences with colorism, whether they be dark and being teased for how dark they are, light and teased for how light they are. People getting beat up over it. You were just so fucking stupid. It's so funny. Whoever sent this to you is like, they really did you a disservice, man, because you were so out of your depth here.
In many ways, the diverse lived experiences of being black in America are defined by struggle, internal and or external. Who has time to sit and evaluate our dating choices and what attracts us to these people? Who has time to theoreticize thoughtness?
So apparently that's not a spelling mistake. Thoughtness seems to be hotness, but dressed up or something? I'm not really sure. I only found it on Urban Dictionary. But it does seem to be a black community thing. Maybe. I'm not sure. It seems fucking pointless anyway, but hey ho. Hotness is hotness. I digress. Considering this article, we know who has the time. You. You have the time. Perhaps that's something you need to take up with yourself and your busy, busy social life.
I felt this way until I was confronted with a realization of my own problematic preference, that I only dated taller, slimmer, light-skinned men. This self-evaluation led me to the conclusion that preferences in dating, sex, and attractiveness are not inherently problematic, but they sure can be.
That doesn't make any sense. If they are not inherently problematic, then they aren't problematic unless you twist and turn that jellified brain of yours to fit this nonsense in a way that makes any goddamn sense to you. Remember, folks, if you have to force reality to fit in with the way you see things, you're doing it wrong.
Not necessarily. You kind of missed the entire point. It's about moderation. So if I have a preference towards like tiggle bitties or whatever, I mean that's just like no big deal, right? But if I'm completely obsessed with it to the point where I'm like dating and fucking on chicks that I'd happily admit to you that are fucking ugly or that I would never ever really take seriously and stuff like that, and I'm kind of just exploiting someone for their body or whatever, well, then that's become a problem. Now I'm an asshole. And it didn't take that much of a brain twist to get to that conclusion of me being an asshole in this theoretical situation I just made up. Once again, you're stupid.
In my past, and on an occasional bored late night browsing social media applications, I have been no stranger to the fun and pleasure of a mere hookup.
Slut! I'm kidding. Kinda.
But it's nearly impossible to have those fun and pleasurable experiences without selecting sexual partners based on social conditioning of whom I am told to find attractive.
No one tells you who to find attractive, you fucking moron.
God damn it, I thought we already went over this. Culture is king. It's not about people literally coming down from on high and dictating a thing to you. Cultures have norms, and humans are creatures of habit, and whether we like to admit it, no matter what angle we're coming at it from, we practice a lot of groupthink, we practice a lot of conformity. So a lot of people are going to be doing behaviors that are shaped, once again, by the people they're around, the culture they're in, and the overarching, societal norms and values, etc. Okay? That's the thing. That's what people are talking about. I have no idea where you and others get this idea that people are literally saying that someone came down from a mountain somewhere and said, think like this. Oh, and side note, once again, you're out of your depth. You really don't know anything about fucking black culture, because also we do get that people literally dictating to us that don't be all out in the sun too long. You wouldn't want to get too dark, and shit like that. It like those various examples. Once again, you can just look these up. These are common experiences of Black Americans. Colorism is a thing. It is an issue. And it affects people. It hurts people. Sometimes in some extremes physically, but especially more commonly emotionally. You're dumb.
Often told not to push back on this thinking because it's based on our supposed preferences. But I have discovered that continually using the preference logic, which usually is code for the status quo, denies the real implications of desirability politics and how it teaches us to center whiteness.
Who tells you to do that? Is it no one? Because that would be my highly accurate guess. There is no one telling you to push back. There is you being a fucking nutter trying to find people you don't find attractive, and your mind fighting you because the brain doesn't like being washed.
God damn it, I thought we already went over this. Culture is king. It's not about people literally coming down from on high and dictating a thing to you. Cultures have norms, and humans are creatures of habit, And whether we like to admit it, no matter what angle we're coming at it from, we practice a lot of groupthink. We practice a lot of conformity. So a lot of people are going to be doing behaviors that are shaped, once again, by the people they're around, the culture they're in, and the overarching, societal norms and values, etc. Okay? That's the thing. That's what people are talking about. I have no idea where you and others get this idea that people are literally saying that someone came down from a mountain somewhere and said, think like this.
It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I realized that sex is a mostly political act. Not political as in Clinton versus Trump, but political in that it informs our thoughts, desires, and pleasures, albeit subconsciously.
Oh my god, is anything fun for you? Is there a moment in your life that you can just sit down and enjoy for 5 fucking minutes and not think, what does this say about my feelings on the Iraq war? It's fucking asinine, means nothing and helps no one. If you actually want to make the world a better place, you just have to be a good person. It's not fucking complicated.
Being a highly introspective person doesn't mean that I can't enjoy my own life. It just means that sometimes in between enjoying fucking my wife or playing with the kids or playing a video game or whatever it is that I happen to be doing, whether I'm, on break at work or whatever, it doesn't mean I don't enjoy life. It just means that I enjoy challenging myself, right? I enjoy challenging my preconceived notions about things, which is how I found your video, because my recommended is filled with people who make arguments in videos like yours, because I'm sub to a few, I watched quite a few, I look into this stuff. I even watch some of the more like extreme sides when it comes to coming from the right, like literal neo-Nazi shit, like seriously, like I go and sit and sometimes for hours and just observe Stormfront forums, not to like troll or anything, though I have done that in the past, but not lately, but just to observe, to see and read this stuff and see how these people think and why they think that way, and to really sit and assess, am I just assuming they're wrong because they're racist or whatever, or am I wrong? That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy anything about life. Just because you think about what are the implications, what are the socio-political implications of my stance, my belief, my lifestyle, does not mean that you fucking hate your life and you never do anything fun. That's stupid. If anything, that's just one more fun thing to do. But then again, I'm a nerd, so sitting around like knocking around these highly complicated, really weirdly, like avant-garde concepts such as desirability and etc. just kind of makes my dick rock hard. So yeah, no. And also, no, what this gets off into, you imposing your definition of fun onto someone else. Maybe this person who wrote this article, just like me, finds thinking about these sort of things and challenging their own preconceived notions and attempting to get others to do the same, maybe they find that shit to be fun. No, that couldn't be. Unless someone's definition and idea of fun is the exact same as yours, it's not valid. It's not possible to have fun with anything else but what Sirsek thinks is fun. Obviously.
Though our sexual experiences, and with whom we have sex, may not define who we are definitively, they can have the tendency to define our politics. While it's important to examine the nuance in instances of sex work and asexuality among others, it's safe to say that our choices in sex partners are wrapped in Eurocentric standards of beauty, white supremacy, and oftentimes associated erotic responses. And if we are being honest, it is clear that those standards exist within the black community.
How dare some black people find non-blacks attractive? You'll fit right in with the KKK. You even get to dress like a ghost.
Straw man, it's not about that. It's, once again, moderation. You can find as many people attractive as you want, but there's this thing superimposed that, you know, especially on women in the black community, that unless your hair is a certain texture, unless you're a certain amount of light, you know, certain colored eyes, etc., you're just not beautiful, or you're not as beautiful as the women who do possess these traits. You know, you always theoretically play second fiddle. Well, yeah, that's the best way I could describe it. They'll always be second best, even if aesthetically, honestly, if you were to set them side by side, I don't know, what would you call it? Standard black looking woman looks better than the closer to non-black looking woman, right? And like, no matter how cute that darker girl is, she, at least on a more overarching cultural level, you know, personal tastes may vary, but the overarching cultural narrative is that lighter woman, even if she's technically not really that much more attractive than her, she's like 10 times, she's like a goddess of sensuality and beauty compared to that darker woman, just by virtue of being lighter. And I'm sorry, but there's something wrong with your psychology if you're a black person who holds white cultural norms around who's sexy and who's not within your own mind, and then apply that to your own community, because that's just silly. And you're going to walk around really crazy and disappointed because, newsflash, we don't exactly look the same. So you'll be chasing like a minority of black people. So it just seems, once again, it's just really dumb. And you're just really dumb and out of your depth.
Dominance of society has caused us to internalize certain characteristics as more desirable. It's the reason taller people make more money than shorter individuals. It's the reason lighter-skinned black people have fewer police interactions than darker-skinned black people. And it's the reason skinnier people are privileged over heavier people. Labeling those as mere preferences fails to underscore why the majority of our preferences conform to acceptable norms.
Assuming that these statements about correlations between these things are correct, that doesn't mean you know what the causation is. You assume you know, because you're playing the presuppositional game. You already know what you think the answers are, therefore, if it seems to fit, it fits. Unfortunately, that's not how this works. Taller people may be more successful because physical presence helps them cement in people's minds. Lighter-skinned African Americans may have less difficulty with police because they are likely the offspring of mixed-race couples, and statistically speaking, white people are more likely to be middle-class and wealthy, so far less likely to need to commit crimes to survive. I'm not even going to entertain the heavier people point, because I think even...
What fucking slave movie were you watching? You really think that fucking all of us light-skinned blacks are coming out of fucking mixed-race couples? Are you in fucking sane? Maybe that's some bullshit that you'll see a lot over in the UK, but that's not how things work here. In America, there's about like a little bit of like almost roughly half and half, with a slight majority for the darker skin tones when it comes to blacks. So no, we're not all part white because some of us happen to be lighter. Okay, that's not what happened. In fact, there are people in Africa who are that same hue who never mixed with any fucking one. Shut that stupid bullshit down. So even your explanation of causation doesn't even work, because it's based on a goofy ass faulty presupposition. So now you're just a fucking hypocrite.
You know why life is more difficult if you can't get up 2 stairs without a donut break. My point is, there are always more sensible explanations to any disparity other than everyone is evil, stupid and fucking racist.
This is not to shame our preferences, but a call for us to examine why we have our preferences. While I don't necessarily think we should pursue sex and relationships to satisfy some political standard, because that can lead to tokenism, that is, the practice of making only a symbolic effort to do a particular thing, we have to understand that more goes into our sexual experiences besides who attracts us. And this means that we must sometimes actively fight against our preferences if we can admit that only liking certain types of people may be a problem.
Your kind of thinking is designed to self-indoctrinate, force divisions, and it's just disgusting. I wish I knew who had broken your mind so thoroughly so we could have them convicted for crimes against humanity. You're not a bad person for liking what you like. In fact, it's part of what makes you who you are. The most ironic thing about all of this, while you seem to think being told to like certain things is bad, you advocate for people to only like certain things. And that's just kind of fucked.
So to close out this fucking video, you're fucking stupid, and no one's advocating only liking one certain thing. They actually said to fight your preferences, meaning go against what your first mind would tell you to say, go after that lighter skinned man or woman. Instead, try fighting that initial urge, thinking about what is it about that person that is just supposed to be so sexy? Like, are they actually sexy, or is there just something in me that is just initially drawn to that I wasn't cognizant of before? That's what that's about. It's not saying that totally abandon your preference or whatever. It's literally actually advocating for inclusivity, broadening your preferences, actually. Like, don't just like lighter skin or non-black or whatever. Try a little bit of everything, whether they be short, tall, fat, skinny, light, dark. Like, no, it's advocating the opposite. What you're advocating for is that everyone stay in their fucking boxes that they've decided to make for themselves. And to that, sir, I say to you, suck my fucking dick. This guy is fucking stupid. I'm fucking Mabasei, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to click the screen and check out some of the other stuff on the channel. Okay, bye.